My name is Andreas, and it's actually pretty good to be here today because my career started in the printing business actually as a pre-printing or pre-press, and also later in the printing business, working with magazine and commercials on out of home in subways and all that. So I feel like the circle is, closing in, so great. But today I'm going to talk about digital signage, and how many of you in here work with digital signage today or are looking into digital signage, have an interest in it, yeah? So a few people, great. So, but it's good for me to know, because then I can have it in a more general way, not getting into all the details, but give you an idea, and also regarding our journey that we have done at Visual Art, because we started back in 1997 as a production company, having all the passion for creativity and producing high-end content in different type of screen-based media. And then we transformed us into being this tech-driven digital signage and media company that drives our clients to new levels by using a future-proof digital signage system. So I will tell you a little bit more about that. But as I said, we started off from the production side. We transform into more tech, digital signage, full service, and today we are having a network consisting of 30,000 screens in 24 countries. So we have learned a lot during these years, and hopefully I can give you some ideas on what you could do and what you shouldn't do. So today the 30,000 screens that we have today is basically in the public and retail spaces. So we work in the cities above ground with digital out-of-home screens. At the train station, airports, we also work a lot in shopping centers, both with the commercial screens and also the wayfinding and, helping people their way around the shopping centers. We work a lot with QSR, quick service restaurants, as McDonald's, convenience store, petrol station, food retailers, pharmacies, hospitality, etc., etc., etc. So the important question is, what have we learned? We have learned a lot of things, and we have done a lot of mistakes, trust me. I remember personally, only 10 years ago, with some of our clients, got the ability to have full motion, and trust me, they used it. So it was too much motion. Everything was just like, thank you, moving on every direction. So did it drive attention? Yes. Did it drive effect? No. It was too much. But the market has matured, and what we can see now is that digital have an effect. And trust me, I know the importance, and especially in this context, the importance of the physical space and the analog signs is really important. And I believe that analog sign will still be there in ages, but you need to know how to interact with them and have a good communication in store and elsewhere by combining those. But some findings. We know that digital outperforms analog just by the fact that a moving image draws attention. So 50% more people look at the moving image compared to a static sign. That's the fact. And also, you tend to look at the moving image for twice as long. And that's what all communication is all about, right? To reach as many people as possible and taking a part of your communication. And we also know that with a digital solution, you're able to use data to be more relevant by target shooting your communication, push your communication due to weather or stock availability or whatever it might be. And we have seen, because you probably heard about the retail death and everything like that. I don't believe in it myself. The strong brand will survive, but it is important for the physical store, the brick and mortars, to drive footfall. And we have seen that when communicate on a digital screen, but also analog screen, close to the point of sales, it actually drives footfall, which is the most important KPIs for any retailers. We see that it drives sales. In general, just by converting an analog sign to a digital one close to the point of purchase, it's around 3 to 4% in total sales, and then you can drive incremental sales and drive behavior. So by doing food craving, for example, showing beautiful ice cream with a topping and everything when the temperature rises to a certain degree and it's sunny, that will have a huge impact on sales if you communicate that in a relevant context. Another funny, I think it's kind of funny, but it's actually, you get the perception by using the digital format as it actually feels more fresh. We work on the train station, as I said before, and they do, or the Swedish government that owns Jernhusen, they do test this twice a year, and they've seen that you actually percept the arena as more safe by having a moving content there. You get the feeling that the hamburger or the sausages or coffee is more fresh. And you also feel it's a better quality. So you have a lot of great effects on that. And also one thing to say, and that's a hazard. It's good for you though in the printing business, but it's not good for our mutual customers when they do all the in-store material to drive their business when it doesn't leave the boxes. Because we've seen that 62% of all in-store communication material doesn't even, get from the boxes. So that's another fact with a digital screen, is that you have control of your communication. Does it sound good? Yep, good. So, the journey is more complex than this, but 4 bullets. Obviously, as I said, you need to understand analog and digital to have the best possible communication, because I don't believe that digital alone will do it. Today, I believe more in print in that regard, but combined, you can get great results. And also understanding the difference between broadcasting and narrowcasting. I will give you an example of that later. And obviously, it's all about the customer experience. It's about the customer journey, understand where and when your customer or customers are. So having the ability to be more relevant by using data is key. And this is not crucial, but for a company as Visual Art, for us, it's a part of our DNA to be curious, to be innovative, to find new things, to collaborate with new techniques. You probably heard about everything with augmented reality and machine learning and everything like that. But it's happening right now. Everything is there, so you need to know how to adapt with it. So just to give you a brief example of that, I don't have it with me in my presentation, but we did, 3 months ago, we did the first ever voice interactive mirror display for H&M at Times Square. And why that is important is not just because it's innovative and it's, drives a lot of PR, but it's also close to the behavior that your customers have. So you can interact with the screen, you can take a selfie, and you get into their loyalty program. So we saw that 30% more at Times Square for H&M, they had 30% more conversion rate with their loyalty program. So you need to understand your customer, your customer's customers, and you need to be playful. So, how am I doing? Good. So once again, talking about digital, and this is an example actually from Circle K, but we work a lot with digital menu boards, and we have seen a lot of things how to drive the effect. And as I said a few pictures ago, we see that we drive sales by converting to a digital screen. And also, as I said, that you get control of your communication. But then it's not easy to see in this. Oh, forget it. When you put things on display, here is some buns, but you also have the sausages, whatever it might be. If you combine that with motion, it gives the perception that is fresh, more fresh. And also by just adding some, smoke on the coffee, it feels like it's new, right? And it drives sales. But it also gives the perception of a lower waiting time when you're standing there. And I'm going to talk more about some opportunities you have with data and different triggers. But what we have done for McDonald's is that McDonald's, they are great in many ways and really precision, and they're measuring sales every minute. So we have built in our system, we have built in different triggers that measures every cash transaction. And if it takes too long time between each cash transaction, then it's an indicator that it becomes a queue, right? So then we tell the system to automatically change the menu to fewer choices. So all of these type of smartness you can use, but once again, you need to know also about the physical place, where's the entrance, how is people behave in that physical space, a store, a restaurant, a public place, or whatever it might be. And let's put this in an easy way. ICA, the one of you who is from Sweden know ICA, but ICA is the biggest food retailer in Sweden with stores all across Sweden. And ICA comes from a history of broadcast everything like a mass media. So not taken in consideration when it becoming spring in down south in Sweden, or when it's spring in Haparanda up north. So you need to understand how long contrast Sweden actually differs in terms of weather, but also for a client like ICA, they have different brands. So they have some brands more for the big cities, suburbans, and also on the countryside. So you can't have the same communication at all stores at the same time. So what we did was completely change the game on how to broadcast and get the ability to narrowcast it, make it more relevant. So we build in our CMS, content management system, the ability for ICA to actually be more relevant, take into consideration what type of store it was, what type of zone within the store. Is it the entrance screen? Is it with vegetables, food? Is it the cashier system, cashier point? And also, of course, what is really important when it comes to the signage and in-store communication, it's the ability to use day parts. If you heard about day parts, because you have a different behavior in the morning than you have at lunchtime and you have at dinner time. And also week parts. You are in a different mindset on a Monday than you are on a Saturday, right? So the ability to steer the communication is key to succeed with your in-store communication and drive sales. So, more in detail what we have done for ICA is that when going into store on a Monday in Gothenburg, it might be, sunny, we push for this, and it's barbecue time, so we inspired to get this great barbecue for the weekend. But at the same time, I'm walking into ICA in Täby, where I live in Stockholm, and, it's pouring down, and my mindset isn't at all on barbecue. So why choose or show the same communication? No. At that time, I get some other relevant communication, right? And we see that have a huge impact in the average food basket. So the total turnover is increasing for ICA by going from just general broadcasting down to relevant narrowcasting. But also, which I will tell more about in a separate picture, is the ability to use these local triggers by data. So just let me give you a few examples. And do you know about RSS feeds and IPIs and all that? So you can get different information automatically, basically, to your system by using data that already exists. You don't need to invent anything. So easily, which we are doing, is that we know at the exact geographic point at a given time of the day, and regarding what, let's say, pollen levels it's in the air right now at this location, then it automatically push out information where you can get your medicine for pollen, for example. And it's really relevant then for me, because if I have pollen, anybody have a problem with pollen here? Yeah, and right? When it's the level in the air, you know it. But if you're not at that level, it's not relevant. So why waste time on choosing the content where it's not relevant? But at a specific place, at a given time, and the levels are high, then it's relevant. Show it then, and have a huge impact on sales and in branding. And also with facial recognition, which is really interesting. Now we have some challenging with the GDPR, but we have done a lot of tests, and we see also a massive impact when it comes to relevance and also on sales, just by adding, it's a camera and some sensors. And it's pretty easy technique, but you easily see and detect if it's a female or a man. You can also see if it's a woman, and then you push a communication that is targeted for me as a man or you as a woman, and it's relevant and it drives sales. So it's all about relevance. But as I said, now with GDPR, it's not as simple, but we see some change regarding that, because we don't store any data. So to be continued. But what is happening now also, which is really interesting, is that it's not the demographic that is so important. If it's a female, if it's a man, it's not as important as how your emotion is. So the trend right now is emotion. So you can detect and see, and with machine learning and artificial intelligence, you can actually learn the system to learn behavior and see, is he stressful? Is he calm? Is she joyful? Is she stressed? Whatever it might be, and adapt that communication due to that. And I don't know if you heard about Alibaba in China. You probably heard of Alibaba. And they're actually doing a really cool thing now where they already have it in place. But when somebody's calling, so you can measure that also through voice. So when somebody's calling in and are really disappointed and calling, the help desk or service desk, whatever it might be, and are really disappointed, the system automatically learned to understand, here is a person who is not satisfied. Get them in put them in connection with somebody that's really skilled to handling that, and they get the information and say, you get your money back. What is the problem? Nothing. So, it's always about how you can be before and enhance the customer experience. And I think that new technique data is one of the keys to that. And then another example, you have already gotten this, of course, but it's the same technique, but the same thing there. And I think that's the easiest way to understand how you can be more relevant by using data. Because, you know, if it's sunny, show sunglasses, sorry. And if it's raining, show an umbrella. And that can differ between where you are. It can be sunny right here and actually be raining just a couple of miles from here. So use the tools to be relevant. Okay, I need to be quick. So, to sum things up, what is this all about? You need to always be relevant. And I think that's the biggest lesson to be said. And regardless if it's with digital signage or an analog sign or whatever it might be, to drive effect, you need to be relevant. And digital signage is the perfect tool for you to be relevant. So, thank you.